and to see many of you again. First, I want to introduce our new manager at the landfill. It's a local boy come back. Jeremy Jernigan is now become the general manager here, and just the last weekend moved back into the area, moved out by the landfill. So I want to introduce first Jeremy to say a few words about your thoughts and your vision.
Thanks, Dan. First of all, very excited to be back in Middle Tennessee. Spent the last 5 years in Indiana, Wabash, Indiana, for about 1.5 years, and a little over 3.5 years in Evansville, Indiana. Originally from Manchester, spent most of my life in Manchester, Woodbury, Cannon County. But I've worked half of my adult life on the Middle Point property. I started there in 1995 until I left in 2014. So I'm really excited to be back in the community. I'm really excited about the opportunity the Republic has given me to be part of the community, a face for Middle Point Landfill. We have not had a sole person responsible for just the landfill. They've always had other duties. My sole responsibility is going to be Middle Point, out in the community, and be a face that people can turn to. So I'm really, really excited about that. Got to meet several people earlier. Mentioned that my face was in a newspaper. They did not tell me that when I accepted the position, but we got through that nonetheless. But some familiar faces, met a few of you this morning, and I'm looking forward to the presentation that Dan's going to give and the expertise and other solutions that Republic may be able to help through this process. So I'm really excited about that, and I'll turn it back over to Dan and to catch as many of you as I can as we step out here. I'll go ahead and give it over to Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. We're very excited to have him here, and again, it's part of the community. So let's go ahead. Who are we? You know, we're not the company that we probably were when we got here. I've been involved here in the community now. Been assigned this probably about 18 months ago, and hopefully you've seen some positive changes around the landfill and things that us as a company have been doing. We're a big organization, and sometimes big organizations lose their way. And I would be the first to admit, and have admitted at county board meetings and stuff, we didn't always do the right thing. We didn't always have the right people doing the right things. But I think that you'll see through Jeremy's efforts, the things that we've been doing, we are here to do the right thing. So we have a lot of employees here that are employed. We're going to be here for a long time. We have responsibility post closure of the landfill to take care of that property for over 40 years. We were meeting yesterday with MTSU to say, help us put together a master plan as to how we reclaim that property for the community. And what are some options there, and we're looking to work with them to figure out what's the long-term game here, and getting some input from them as well. So again, you know, we operate a lot of places around the country, seen a lot of things. There was a magic bullet right now to stop the waste that comes out every day. Us or one of our competitors would be doing it. It doesn't stop. It's not our waste. We don't produce it. It comes from communities across the country. But when 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 tons a day come at you, you've got to have some solutions to deal with it, and you have to deal with it in an environmentally responsible way. So I think one of the things that we've seen as our company has changed, go up with some of the things that we do. We've been ranked as one of the most sustainable companies across the country. We're doing a lot of things that just aren't landfills. We do a lot of recycling. We keep investing in recycling across the country. Recycling right now, to your point, is not a profitable business. It is a losing proposition right now because there are not markets. And it's a U.S. problem right now because we did rely as a country on foreign markets to buy the products that were coming out and being recycled. We have to take, as a country, what are we going to do with this stuff, and how are we going to manage it responsibly, and how are we going to do it in the U.S. so we can rely on ourselves. We think there's a lot of opportunities for industries to flourish in dealing with this, and it's going to take 2 to 3, 4 years. We've seen paper mills that have been closed, starting to reopen again. Right now, because nobody will take mixed paper around the country. So, all your paper drives, when I was a kid, we had paper drives and everything like that. Right now, nobody wants that material now. So there has to be outlets for that material. We work hard as a big company to go out and help those companies find the end markets. And so that's one of the challenges that we see today. And it's a U.S. challenge. You'll see it. EPA is finally starting to tackle it. There's finally been the first piece of legislation introduced this past month to really come up with a national recycling policy. And we have a voice in that. Obviously, that we're a bigger company. They come to us given the number of places that we recycle around the country. We think here is a good opportunity to find those solutions. So we manage 195 active modern landfills across the country. Not a lot of landfills being sited across the country today. One of the issues, it's an easy issue here would be, let's just ship it somewhere else. Well, in the entire state of Tennessee, once Middle Point closes, there's about 7 to 10 years of landfill life left in the entire state. So this isn't going to be an issue that's a Rutherford County. It's a regional issue. It's a statewide issue as to what are we going to do with the waste in the next 20 years, because there's not going to be any capacity around there. We have 90 recycling centers. We keep investing in recycling centers. We just opened our most recent recycling center in Plano, Texas, state-of-the-art facility. But you look at those facilities, you build a building, you do it with equipment changes, they're obsolete probably in about 5 to 10 years. Huge investments, they're $25 to $30 million investments. That's why we have deep pockets and we can make those investments in the community that we do work in. So it's something to think of. We work on 6 million tons of recycling annually. It's a lot of stuff coming through our doors, a lot of stuff we have to deal with. The other part of being a good citizen is getting rid of that material in a responsible manner. Being a big company, we have leverage. So when markets from China shut off, we found alternative markets. We used our resources to find places to continue to recycle the material. We do composting. We think composting is a great idea. We think Siemens' idea is a great idea. We think it's a solution that the county really needs to consider as to how do we take those organics out of the waste stream and deal with them in a way that are environmentally responsible. We think that's a good idea. And there's a lot of composting going on that we've done. We sell the material across the country. Again, some places it's mandated, some places it's voluntary, but it has to be a policy around it as to what are we going to do? Where's the decision going to come from? So we really look at this whole issue. This is not an easy, simple solution where somebody's going to flip a switch and say, this is what we're going to do today. It takes meetings like this, it takes input from the community to get the right solution that everybody's going to be bought in on. Because you don't want to be going home and saying, I'm now going to pay $100 a month to get rid of my waste. That's really not the entire responsible thing to do. There are ways to work together as a community to find the right solutions that are going to be cost effective, but also achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So we kind of look at it, there are some policy issues that have to be decided. As a community, I would be pushing my elected officials to say, we have to do curbside recycling. It's a really fast-growing community, and it's pretty amazing that there's no mandated curbside recycling in the city. It's kind of where a lot of places start. And we think it's a vital part to a solution here, because you look at how much of that material will come out of the waste stream right away. And that's going to do the right thing for the community. It's going to do the right thing for the environment. You also have to look at infrastructure. Nobody likes landfills, but they're a vital piece of infrastructure that is out there today. I met with the mayor of Nashville 2 weeks ago, and we're having that same discussion. We're saying to him, how do you reduce your waste stream? They don't have mandatory curbside recycling in Nashville. That's a problem. That's a problem for the region, And it's something that everybody has to come together and find a solution. And, you know, this vital infrastructure is a landfill. When businesses want to come to communities, when people want to move into communities, they don't want to come to a community where they're paying $100 a month for the waste. They want to find a reasonable solution that meets everybody's needs. So price is a consideration. It's not the only consideration, but it's something that has to be the right equation for a taxpayer, has to be the right equation for the community, and has to be the right policy as to, do we want to recycle, do we want to compost, and there's going to be waste left, and how are we going to deal with the growth? Because every time I come into town, I come in from either Chicago or Arizona, there's some new building going up, or some new business going up, or some new subdivision going up. And you know, there are ways to pay for a lot of this stuff that we look at. You know, how do we go back and maybe charge the other counties that are disposing of material here? You know, what's the cost of development? There are a lot of issues that probably need to get out of the table. There has to be some frank discussions that aren't just dealing with waste, but you know, what are the real costs of doing business in a growth era? And that's a struggle. I know that City of Nashville, the mayor told me that's a big issue there, and it's an issue here as we see the growth explode. So we're looking at every different avenue. I'll tell you that. We haven't come up with the final solution. We're looking at different avenues as to, you know, what do we do when the landfill closes, et cetera. There are some problems. You know, we kind of found out by happenstance yesterday with NTSU that their students have been testing around our landfill on projects for years. Then their second sentence, after I held my breath, but she goes, you know, and all the testing of all the water, air, and stuff, we haven't found anything. Now we said they can't say that totally about the county's landfill that is not lined like ours is lined. She talked about leachate. Our leachate's all collected, and it's treated and it's dealt with. County's landfill is not. County landfill runs off. There's no liner in the old county landfill. It's an environmental problem that's sitting out there. So that's another thing that has to be considered in this entire solution. If somebody wants to do composting or something and they have that facility, there's a problem over there that has to be fixed.